A man walks along the streets on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, heading toward the intersection of Broad Street and Wall Street. Holding his hand and keeping pace is his 9-year-old grandson. Young Daniel Frischberg is about to get a first-hand look at the New York Stock Exchange. He doesn't realize it yet, but his destiny is to be a major player in the world of finance. What he's learned over nearly 50 years, he'll teach you today, and it's all free of charge. There's a billionaire locked inside you. The key to freedom is information, the kind of information you find here on the MoneyMan Report. Now, here's the MoneyMan. Here's Dan Frischberg.
Good morning, everybody. This is the MoneyMan Report. I'm Dan Frischberg. On the right there, on camera, if you're watching, if you're lucky enough to have a video, is Jim Rogers. So where we left off last time we talked, you were trying to decide what college your daughter Happy was going to go to. And of course, she's going to go there and learn how bad capitalism is.
Well, unfortunately, that's the way it is at most many American universities.
I guess if I was going to learn communism, I'd rather learn it in China than in America.
Well, the Chinese are more capitalist than that. You know, the Chinese may call themselves communists, but I assure you, Dan, they're extremely good capitalists. They may be the best capitalists in the world, right? It's certainly better than California or New York or some such places. Right. Who knows where she's going to wind up? We're even talking about taking a year off, which might be a good thing. It would have been a good thing for me back long ago. So we will see.
Yeah. Did you take a year off and
I did not
on Europe or something?
Dan, when I was that age, I knew nothing about anything. I never thought about taking a year off. Those kind of thoughts were so foreign to me. I was just doing what 17-year-old kids did. And 17, it was time to go to college. So I went to college.
So now you're over there in Singapore and you're watching what appears to me to be the stupidest possible economic decisions being made here in America. I'm wondering, what are the people, I know you understand it perfectly, what do the people in Singapore and China and Japan think about us now and what we're doing?
Well, you mentioned, a billion and a half people in the countries you mentioned. So I'm sure many of them think many different things. I will say that in Singapore and certainly in China, there is not a lot of emphasis on debt. They basically grow up like you and I did. You don't build up a lot of debt unless there's a specific temporary reason for a lot of debt. So no, that these are not gigantic debtor nations. They're places that try to save their money and try to invest for the future. Since we, America, the largest debtor nation in the history of the world, Dan, you know what people think. I'm not the only one who knows that this is not going to end well.
Like the decline of the Roman Empire or something? They're just watching.
History is pretty simple. Every country that's gotten itself into this kind of situation, any time in history, has wound up with a problem. I mean, that's not me talking. That's the simple reading of history. Now, unfortunately, many people don't read history. And I guess the main lesson of history, Dan, is people don't learn the lessons of history. They don't, if they know about history, they don't care. They think they're smarter than history. I know that history is smarter than I am.
I used to do, I occasionally still do it, but we have a money game that we do for the public. And we go through the period from the early 70s through the 90s. And we are really going to repeat the Jimmy Carter administration right now, it appears. And it's exactly what you said. I guess we've never studied the Jimmy Carter. Our government doesn't know the history of it, and so they're doing the same thing. So what we're going to do is, well, from my point of view, we're going to stimulate demand by passing out money and then punish the people who create the things that you might want to buy. And so we're going to reduce the supply of everything and increase the demand for everything. And that brings us to the inflation that you've been predicting for years.
That's what history shows. I mean, this is, again, these are not some predictions, or just telling you what history shows. History shows that when you print and spend and borrow staggering amounts of money, it always eventually leads to inflation. That's not my prediction. That's just reading history. And I imagine it's already happening. You know, anybody who goes shopping knows that prices are up, whether it's for education or entertainment or anything, medical care, dental care, anything. Prices are up. Now, the governments lie about it, but governments all over the world have incentive to lie about it, so they do.
But actually, they like it because since they owe so much money, it reduces the actual pain of paying it back. And so they're all collaborating. Do you think they're all collaborating to hide, and they make believe that there's 2% inflation, or we can't even get to 2% inflation when the cost of everything I want to buy is going up 5 or 10% a year?
Well, many payments, I'll use the U.S. since we're both American citizens, many payments in the U.S. are tied to the rate of inflation. So obviously the government wants to say inflation is low because then they don't have to pay higher prices. But many, many government payments, and not just government, but especially government payments, are tied to the rate of inflation. So if the government says inflation is low, they don't have to pay more. It's not good for you and me, Dan, but they don't care about you and me. They all want to keep their jobs.
Well, it's okay for us because we can make some adjustments in our behavior and take advantage of it, but it's not that great for the rest of the people in the world, or in the country anyway. I guess the world benefits from the decline of somebody like us because then they can dominate. I'm not sure. Does the inflation we're creating here now have any impact on people in Asia and people around the world?
Of course. I mean, they eat rice just like, well, maybe you don't eat rice, but whether you eat, tomatoes or bread or whatever you eat, the prices are going up, and their prices are going up here too. It's hard for you. You can't say, well, the price of wheat is up in Canada, but it's not up in Australia. The world doesn't work that way. When prices are going up for most things, they're going up for everybody.
Now, the media that I read about you now is tying you to gold. I don't know if that's really what your emphasis is, but I guess it's people that are trying to sell gold that are using you to do it. But yeah, I see as you smile and nod, I was going to ask you, is that a strong belief or your recommendation? But I can see that you are tempered somewhat.
But then I have learned in my life.
You believe, in other words.
I have read all sorts of things about me that I'm shocked at, that I didn't know I was doing or cared about or whatever. But I do own gold. I am not buying gold. I have not been buying gold for some time. I expect to buy more gold. I do own silver. I do plan to buy more silver. I'm not buying either right now. I will probably buy more gold, more silver than gold. Silver is much cheaper on a historic basis, but no, I do plan to buy more silver and more gold. I do own both at the moment, but I haven't bought either for a long time.
And it seems like things like everything else, copper and everything that you use to actually build something, to do something, to rebuild the world, seems to be where that inflation is showing up, as opposed to gold.
Well, I mean, gold is up 50% over the last 18 months or so. Silver's doubled. in the last couple of years. So these things are going up. Yes, copper is going up. A lot of things are going up. Speaking of copper, there seems to be a movement towards electric vehicles. Well, an electric vehicle uses several times as much copper as a normal vehicle.
Right.
For obvious reasons. If it's an electric vehicle, you got to have a lot of copper. And so a lot of these things are going up for a variety of reasons, but according to the government, there's no inflation.
Yes, except that copper was $2 last year, and now it's $4.50 or something.
I understand that, Dan, but the government says there's no inflation. Now, if you buy copper, these prices are up, whether it's called inflation or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Yes, prices are going up.
The interesting thing also is that what are you putting money into right now besides silver? Are you buying stocks in the United States?
No, I'm not. They're at an all-time high. My parents said buy low and sell high. They didn't say I'm not selling because I expect this to last a while longer. No, I'm buying agriculture. I'm buying commodities. I mean, Dan, as I look around the world, the cheapest asset class are the commodities. I mean, bonds are clearly in a bubble. Bonds have never been this expensive in the history of the world, anywhere in the world. Property in many cities is a serious bubble. If you go to New Zealand or Korea or someplace, gigantic bubbles. About stocks. I mean, some things like Tencent or Alibaba or Amazon, they never go down. They go up every day. So some stocks not all, forming a bubble. But I mean, silver is down 50% from its all-time high. I mean, sugar's down 70% from its all-time high. There are not any bubbles in commodities.
So you're really not buying companies now?
Well, no, I bought a Russian shipping company just, earlier this week or last week. No, I'm buying some things, but for the most part, I would prefer to buy commodities because that's where the cheap parts of the assets are.
I have to stop for a little break. There's some radio shows. It's a podcast, but radio stations carry it. And so I got to stop for a little break right now, and we're going to be back right after this, folks. Stick around.
You've heard it said right here, with enough leverage, you can multiply your investing strength and move mountains. So think about it. How'd you like to own companies like Roku or MasterCard or Raytheon and put down as little as 5 or 10% to unlock the treasure chest of unlimited upside gains? You can, all the while drastically reducing your risk, and you can do it with zero borrowing costs. You just need that leverage and a little know-how. So Dan Frischberg is going to allow you to pick his brain to better understand the concept of leverage. These are special online training sessions called the Pick Dan's Brain Option Service. You can use just a little bit of money to potentially make incredible returns. If you want to make real money, you owe it to yourself to take advantage of this once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. All you have to do to try it is to go online and register so you can see the results for yourself. The cost is next to nothing, and look what's waiting for you. Each week, Dan will discuss a few detailed trades, quality, actionable trades. You get detailed instructions on buying and selling specific put and call options. The Pick Dan's Brain Option Service shares specific underlying stocks, expiration dates, strike prices, and shows you how much money you could make instantly. It's Dan Frischberg's time-tested, proven money-making discipline that he's used for 50 years to make himself and a lot of other people rich. Lots of other benefits are waiting for you, too, if you just register at themoneyman.com. That's all one word, themoneyman.com, for the Pick Dan's Brain Option Service. This is about teaching you the knowledge and skills. It's your responsibility to apply these skills and knowledge to your specific situation. It's too much to detail here, but all the info is right there at themoneyman.com.
You're tuned in to the MoneyMan Report with your host, TV and radio money man, Dan Frischberg. For more information about everything we're talking about, go to themoneyman.com right now. That's themoneyman.com.
Welcome back. This is the MoneyMan Report. So I was telling you about Etsy, which at the moment has not attracted, it is not the subject that all these places are writing about, and all these chat rooms are not doing anything about it. They just happen to be a really good business that's getting better and better every day, and people don't know about it.
And Robinhood is
Right,
not
and pretty
focused on
soon,
it
yeah,
yet.
but you know what's going to happen? Pretty soon they're going to start to hear about it. Why? Because the chart's going to be good. It's going to start going up, right? I want to buy it now because the sales are going up, but the stock is going down. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so I've started to tell you about Robinhood markets, the place where people congregate to do stupid things, and this is where they congregate.
And this is an argument.
So they're having a fight with Charlie
Okay.
Munger, yes, who is Warren Buffett's partner. But Charlie Munger likes to help people. So they were created to allow people who don't have access to generational wealth or resources that come with it to become investing in the U.S. stock market. As though Charlie Munger he's got generational wealth, but he wasn't born rich.
No, he wasn't.
Warren Buffett wasn't born rich. I wasn't born rich. Having generational wealth happens from doing smart things and getting rich. So they're saying it was created to allow people who don't have access to generational wealth or resources that come with it to begin investing in the U.S. stock market. This is what Robinhood's spokeswoman says, reiterating the company's credo about democratizing access to the market for average investors. Suggests that new investors have a mindset of racetrack bettors is disappointing and elitist. Charlie Munger is an elitist. He's saying them following each other when none of them have any money and they're all following each other is stupid. And it's good, right? So now you have people who are dumb and don't make any money. Remember, the people who actually make a lot of money were not laid off. They're working from home, doing engineering or doing something. They're not rich, but they're making good money. The people who are stuck at home, who are getting money from the government and who are going on Robinhood, are people that are one step lower than that, right? They're people that are hoping that the $15 an hour gets passed so that they can make $15 an hour. And they don't even understand the economics of this to know that if they're not worth $15 an hour, then they're going to get fired rather than somebody paying them more money than they're worth. They don't get that. They think they're going to get $15 an hour because the government makes the rule. That's what's called static out. If you want something, you just do something dumb to make it happen. And then smart people don't do what you thought they were going to do, but you didn't think of that. So they're hoping that so that now that they're laid off, staying at home, getting government money, trying to make money investing, and not making any money because they're following each other, they're hoping that there's a rule that says they have to get $15 an hour so that they get fired, so that they never get called back to work because the work they're doing is not worth $15 an hour, right? And by the way, the same government that's going to pass that rule that makes them get laid off is also making it possible for more illegal aliens to come in so that they get replaced by illegal aliens who don't make $15 an hour, right? So that if you want somebody to mow your lawn, you're not going to hire somebody that you have to pay $15 an hour for because we got tons of illegal aliens coming in who are willing to do it for less. So they think that the way to stop that is to let all the illegal aliens come in that want to, make them citizens, and then make a rule that everybody has to make $15 an hour. And so I'm going to have to go look for people who didn't become a citizen yet, who are willing to work without being on the books so that I can get my lawn mowed cheap.
static analysis again.
When I say me, I'm talking about everyone who's thinking in the world, everyone who's trying to get a good deal. So they're saying, how dare you be an elitist and say that we are making people gamble by encouraging them to invest in things that they don't know anything about.
To
And-
Charlie Munger.
Yeah, they're arguing with Charlie Munger and saying you are an elitist because you're saying that we're a place where dumb people come to gamble and that they shouldn't be gambling money on the stock market. What Charlie Munger is really saying is they should take the time and learn about actual things, companies they can invest in that are actually making people's lives better and who are marketing themselves well so that they're spreading around and they're starting to have rising sales and getting rising profits. And you should know what you're investing in and buy one company. Don't buy all these things that people are talking about, especially people who are poor and aren't getting rich. So the response comes after Munger said, this is Robin Hood's response, saying you are an elitist, saying that these people are gambling by coming and buying investments they know nothing about.
They are
because
gambling.
they hear it from each other. Yeah, of course they're gambling, because investing in things you don't know anything about is gambling. Is it gambling to invest money, or what makes it gambling? What makes it gambling is that you don't know anything about it. And
Using your last dollar to
so
buy something you don't nothing about.
yeah, so gambling is because when what you hear about may be good and it may not be good, but you have no idea whether it's good or not. You're buying it because other people without money are buying it, right? What would really, so Munger says it's really stupid to have a culture that encourages gambling in stocks so much by people who have the mindset of racetrack bettors. It's a dirty way of making money, he says, referring to Robin Hood. Well, what are racetrack bettors doing? They're looking for tips on who's going to win the race. Common sense would tell you that they wouldn't have to run the race if you knew who was going to win the race. The favorite doesn't win the race. Sometimes the favorite wins, sometimes the other one wins, right? The odds setters don't know. Do the odds setters run it based on how much muscle the horse has? No. How do they set the odds? They set the odds by how many people bet against it and how many people for it. And they set the odds according to how many people are betting for it and how many people are betting against it. And you know who loves people that do that? The Sopranos. Because the Sopranos have a bookmaker that's out there getting people to bet. Now they've legalized it because they don't want all the money to go to the Sopranos. They want it to go to the taxes. They want it to go to the government. So the government is taking the business away from the Sopranos, which is probably very good. The bottom line is those people at the racetrack who are getting a tip from a guy, there used to be, well, I'm not going to waste your time.
I went to a racetrack one time in Louisiana, Delta Downs, just one time. I saw a horse limping, so I felt sorry for the horse. So I picked that horse and I added 2 numbers and I won exacta. That was the craziest thing, but I didn't know anything too.
So if you buy one company at a time, but you actually really find out about the company, look at its financial statement.
That's right.
Look at how much profit they're making. Look at how much their sales are.
And competition.
Look at what their expenses are. Do you like the product? Do you understand why they're making that product? Do you think that there are more and more people that are being enabled? Did you ever think of the fact that if the product is a digital product, like a platform like Etsy that I was talking about before, that because it's software, the economics of that are, this is new. In the last 10 years, we got these digital companies. Prior to that, if you bought into a company, it was a manufacturing company. It was very advanced. But in order for them to expand, I keep giving the example of Coca-Cola. To make more Coca-Cola, as people want to buy more Coca-Cola. If I am Coca-Cola, to expand, I got to buy more syrup and more bottles and hire more people and buy more machines and buy more trucks. And all of that to expand, it's very, very expensive. But if I am Etsy, it's software. Mm-hmm. And I can reach 1 million people or 1 billion people with the same software. So my expansion costs are basically zero. Mm-hmm. So of course, if I'm going to own a company, that's what I would like to own. Why did I own a money management business? Why does Alicia own one now? Because it's digital. Because she can invest the money, and she can invest the money for 10,000 people or 100,000 people mm-hmm. or 1 million people. And it's really, she's got it set up robotically so that she puts it in, she makes a model portfolio, and then the software executes mm-hmm. and brings the portfolio into line. Mm-hmm. And so she can do 1,000 people or 1 billion people, and it doesn't cost any more. So when I was doing it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I had to have 50 people working on it. And Alicia can do it with 2 people because it's all automated. Well, that's the economics of that are very, very favorable. It's a great, great business. Etsy is a great business because the cost of expansion is nothing. And all they have to do is arrange for more people to hear about it. And the people are hearing about it from each other. So the economics of it are, it grows itself. And as it grows itself, it becomes more valuable. Now, and then what I like about it is, you don't know about it yet, but pretty soon it's gonna have a great chart, which is escalating. And pretty soon they're going to start writing about it on Motley Fool. And then the people are going to start telling each other about it on Reddit or someplace or Robinhood, and they're going to all buy the options for me, and they're going to run it up, and I'm going to make 30, 40, 50 times my money. And that's how you make a lot of money, right?
If you're not having a success, join our sessions. We have sessions.
I have a free webinar, mm-hmm. and you can go to themoneyman.com. You have a little chat box that opens up for Alicia. Say, I want to see the free webinar, give the email. You don't need a credit card. We're not going to, no bullshit. Excuse me. No baloney. Excuse me. No baloney, no nothing. There's not a come on. You're going to watch the webinar. Why? Because I happen to know that a lot of the people that watch the webinar actually want to learn how to do this. That's why you're going to get it for free just because you're listening right now. So that's all the time we've got here on this segment. We got to stop, and we'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Money Man.
Each week in his live video market and economy update offered to his inner circle, Dan Frischberg delivers the in-depth, professional version of his famous Market X-ray report, live and interactive. Now that means you get to ask all the questions you want. And if you can't make the live meeting, you can watch the report on demand. Then email your questions in, and Dan will email the answers back or include them in the next live report. Week in and week out, Dan brings you the ideas and specific stock picks from his friends, the people you see on TV and read about in the papers. You'll see what they're buying, how they're hedging, and when they're taking money off the table. At last, you'll get to see how the insiders negotiate the institutional macro bonds that billionaires on Wall Street rely on, the ones almost everyone else never even heard of. When you become an Inner Circle member, Dan will share with you his lifetime of experience and guide you to the best teachers, the best stock pickers, the best option strategists. And you'll be invited to exclusive working vacations in beautiful locations for the Inner Circle only, where you'll rub elbows with some of the most famous investors on Wall Street. So, how do you value the lifetime of skill and experience of a top investor on a mission to share it all with you and help you become one of the few winners? If you've been listening to Dan for a few years, he's likely already made you tons of money, or even more important, saved you from losing a fortune. Now, there are limits to the capacity of the online video sessions, but right now, for a limited time, Dan's offering you the position of charter subscriber, get this, for less than the price of a cup of coffee a day. For all the info or to subscribe, just simply click on themoneyman.com. Themoneyman.com.
You're tuned in to the Money Man Report with your host, TV and radio money man, Dan Frischberg. For more information about everything we're talking about, go to themoneyman.com. Right now, that's themoneyman.com.
We're back. This is the Money Man Report. I'm Dan Frischberg. This is the beautiful Alicia. I don't think I ever told you who we were. Hopefully you have been listening to us for a while and you knew who we were. But I'm Dan Frischberg. This is the beautiful Alicia. This is the sound of your money growing. It is the Money Man Report. So one of the features that we've had for all these years, ever since in 2000, when we lost $30 million all at one time, was we had to learn, when is it really a bear market where everything goes down and you really want to get out, and when is it just a little pullback that doesn't really make any difference and gives you an entry point opportunity. So of course, everybody is there. Everywhere I look, I see somebody who doesn't know what he's talking about saying that this is a bubble. It's a gigantic bubble. The market is crazy. It's all dislocated because the economy is weak and the stock market's going up and it shouldn't be going up. And it's very overpriced and it's a bubble. And it's almost over and it's going to pop. And is this true?
Not true. You just stole my lightning, but that's fine. This little pullback that is happening right now, and all those supposed to be guru is telling you that it's the end of the bull market and that the bubble is going to pop, because those are high flying digital marketing stocks that are going to be called the bubbles. So that's not true. And we are just in the beginning of a new bull market. So if you have good stuff, don't sell them, because we are just in the beginning.
Of course, the bull market started 10 years ago, but you're saying that when you analyze it, it has the characteristics of
a new bull market, because we are recovering from, this is like what you always told everyone from the very beginning of after World War II. So it feels like all the elements are right there, beginning and helping us have a good life and a good entry. And so right now, if you have really cool stocks that you've been keeping, and don't sell it, because you're gonna get the most out of it.
So the truth is, if you were timid right after World War II, when the boys came home and all that technology was applied to commercial purposes,
the one they used during the war,
the people that actually said, this is my chance, I'm going to do something productive, I'm going to own companies, I'm going to make the world better, they got rich.
Yes.
And the people that were too timid to do that, and they thought it was gambling, to own companies, they went and got a job cleaning something or doing something, and they didn't get rich.
We always tell everyone, when we're still working with wealthy people, the first thing we notice is they teach their children, grab as much people who can work under and work for you. So the best remedy for a lot of people who are not opening businesses, to buy businesses like Amazon and all those companies, Shopify and Etsy, who has so many people who's making money for you. And that's the number one instruction that all those wealthy people taught their children.
But here's what's happening. Here's what Joe Biden's stimulus check bill could cut your taxes by $3,100. Congress has Joe Biden's pandemic rescue package. It's going on a fast track, $3,100. Now, that's what they think would be good for you. give you $3,100. Why? Because they don't really want to change anything about your life. They want you to come and clean their house. They want you to work in their office. They want you to work and pay taxes to support them riding around in a limousine.
Mm-hmm.
So Al Gore, his net worth is $300 million. Jesse Jackson's net worth is $9 million. Susan Rice's net worth is $40 million. Bernie Sanders, the Marxist, his net worth is $3 million. See, that do they want you to have money? No, they want you to have $3,000 so that you can come and clean their house, right? Gavin Newsom making all these rules. Everybody's got closed up. His net worth is $30 million. Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of, or the ex-mayor of Chicago, right? His net worth is $14 million. Dianne Feinstein, $90 million. The young senator who should have never even been elected in Georgia, John Ossoff, a complete idiot, right? You know what his net worth is? $4 million. You know what he's voting for? Is he voting to have kids actually learn how to invest? Now, how do you think Bernie Sanders got $3 million? And how do you think Gavin Newsom got $30 million? How did Susan Rice, the biggest liar in the world, how did she get $40 million? And guess what? What is Joe Biden's net worth? Do you know that his net worth is several $million? Didn't he work wasn't he a politician working in the Senate, making $200,000 a year for the last 40 years? Didn't he have zero net worth and he was taking a train to work and living at his mother's house? How did he, by being a senator, get to have multi-million-dollar net worth? How did that happen? I'm not saying it's because of graft. It's because they got somebody that knew how to invest money, and they put their money into companies, and they used a lot of leverage, and they became rich. So why do they want to send you $3,000 so that you can maintain that job mowing my lawn? Why do they do that instead of putting the money into tuition to teach people how to buy the companies that made them rich? And what I'm doing is I'm teaching you not only how to choose those companies and know which ones to buy, not because you read about them on Reddit, but because you know how to find out the companies that are making a lot of money that are a good deal for you to own. And then how to buy those long-term options so that instead of owning 10 shares of that company, you can own 1,000 shares of that company. And that means that instead of owning $1,000 worth of that company, you can own $60,000 worth of that company. And as that company becomes more valuable, you've got $60,000 working for you instead of a couple of $1,000. And you want to learn how to do this? The government's not going to help you do it. The government's not going to help you do it. But if you take that little bit of nickels and dimes that they've sent you, or use your credit card, or do something and pay your tuition, this is the sound of your money growing.
It's a perfect timing because the economy is giving it to you.
Go to themoneyman.com. We're talking with Jim Rogers. He's in Singapore. The miracle is I am in Houston, Texas. Jim is in Singapore, and it feels like we're right next to each other. This is a different world. And the truth is, I own the assets that allow this to happen. That's what the companies that we talk about here all the time, they're pipelines, they're platforms. They have the intellectual property that allows this kind of stuff to happen. And you can own them too. So stick around. The Money Man Report is all about how you make yourself rich by using your brains to get a better deal.
You've heard it said right here. With enough leverage, you can multiply your investing strength and move mountains. So think about it. How'd you like to own companies like Roku or MasterCard or Raytheon and put down as little as 5 or 10% to unlock the treasure chest of unlimited upside gains? You can, all the while drastically reducing your risk, and you can do it with zero borrowing costs. You just need that leverage and a little know-how. So Dan Frischberg is going to allow you to pick his brain to better understand the concept of leverage. These are special online training sessions called the Pick Dan's Brain Option Service. You can use just a little bit of money to potentially make incredible returns. If you want to make real money, you owe it to yourself to take advantage of this once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. All you have to do to try it is to go online and register so you can see the results for yourself. The cost is next to nothing, and look what's waiting for you. Each week, Dan will discuss a few detailed trades, quality, actionable trades. You get detailed instructions on buying and selling specific put and call options. The Pick Dan's Brain Option Service shares specific underlying stocks, expiration dates, strike prices, and shows you how much money you could make instantly. It's Dan Frischberg's time-tested, proven money-making discipline that he's used for 50 years to make himself and a lot of other people rich. Lots of other benefits are waiting for you, too, if you just register at themoneyman.com. That's all one word, themoneyman.com, for the Pick Dan's Brain Option Service. This is about teaching you the knowledge and skills. It's your responsibility to apply these skills and knowledge to your specific situation. It's too much to detail here, but all the info is right there at themoneyman.com.
You're tuned in to the MoneyMan Report with your host, TV and radio money man, Dan Frischberg. For more information about everything we're talking about, go to themoneyman.com right now. That's themoneyman.com.
Okay, we're back. This is the Money Man Report. I'm talking to Jim Rogers. I'm so happy to be doing that because we get a little perspective. And so our country's angry with us, or what do they think of us? Well, you're in Singapore, where there really are capitalists, and how's inflation there? And what do they think about what we're doing now?
It is happening, as far as I can see, everywhere. I don't know any place that has deflation now. Many people in Asia are not particularly happy with the U.S. As you probably know, the U.S. has walked out of a couple of major World Trade Organizations in the past under Mr. Trump, and Mr. Biden has not done anything. There are 15 of nations, many of which are our allies, have put together a free trade zone recently, huge free trade zone. We're not in it. I keep thinking, well, somebody in Washington is going to notice, wait a minute, all these billions of people are putting together free trade zones and ignoring us. I don't see how anybody can say that's good for America, but Dan, it's happening.
Yes. I kind of feel like we are watching the decline. I don't really see any evidence of it in my life yet, but it looks like it's coming. For me, life just goes on, and some things go up and some things go down. Fortunately, I have some insight into that from time to time. I get lucky, but what do you think about the whole power structure? If we're not participating in these agreements, does that mean that they are actually starting to think of us as them as opposed to us? Are we just excluding ourselves from the world?
Well, some countries like Japan, our fast allies, are in these other free trade agreements. I don't know if they think of us as them or they or whatever, but I do know they know we're not there and other countries are. Mr. Trump, on his first day, pulled out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a major free trade arrangement with several countries. And everybody in Asia looked around and said, well, wait a minute, that means China's now in charge. That China's going to run Asia since America pulled out. Some of these things are really helping other countries. Mr. Trump is making China great again, unfortunately. Actually, we should all be making each other great again. Instead of having spats, we should be playing together and getting better. You said that in your life, you don't see much changing. But Dan, if you go to airports in Asia and go to airports in America, you say, wait a minute, this is a different world. Railroads, highways, maybe you don't get around as much as you used to or could. If you do get around, you will see that infrastructure, cities in the US are certainly nothing compared to cities in some other parts of the world, and infrastructure in some other parts of the world. I don't like saying this, Dan. I'm an American like you, but I have to face reality.
Well, yeah. So we've moved to Houston. We had retired to Florida for 10 years, but now Houston is a gleaming modern city with enough freeways and enough everything. And so I don't really get to see it, but I do read about it and I do travel a little bit. But I guess what you were talking about is that the airports in the United States kind of look like they were made in the 40s, and everywhere else, there are these gorgeous, gleaming places. And does everybody in the world notice this and think about us as kind of a new third world?
Well, anybody who travels certainly does. You cannot land at Kennedy Airport and contrast it with Beijing Airport and not notice a gigantic difference. When you get in a taxi in New York, you get in a third world taxi, and you go on the third world highway. I mean, I don't like saying any of this, but it's pretty simple. You get in a taxi in Beijing, it's not a third world airport, it's not a third world airport, and it's not a third world highway.
All right, so you said that you just finished buying a Russian shipping company. Is that something Americans can do?
Yeah, trades in London or trades in Moscow. Anybody can do it. I'm an American. Anybody can do it. For the most part, Dan, anything I can do, you can do, or a person in Toledo can do.
So you want to give the name of that Russian?
No, thank you for asking, but no, I don't, because I'm still buying it.
Okay, so on the internet, you're buying gold and gold coins and everything.
As I said, Dan, don't believe anything you read. If you wonder, you can ask me. I own gold and silver coins, but I am not buying either, and I have not bought either for several months.
Tell me about what you think of this cryptocurrency mania, I guess I would call it. Are you accumulating anything like Bitcoins?
I have never bought nor sold any cryptocurrencies. I mean, I wish I had, obviously. I mean, Bitcoin went from 1 to 60,000 or something. Of course, I wish I'd bought it. But no, I have never bought any of them. Money is going to be on the computer. Dan, if you go to China, you can't take a taxi with money. You got to have your money on your phone. You can't buy ice cream. They're ahead of us. Many countries are ahead of us. I mean, the U.S. is working on.
What do? They show a little code on their phone or something?
Yeah, you put your phone up against his phone or whatever his thing is, and there it is. It takes $3 out of your account and puts $3 in his account.
And that's the way they do it. Interesting.
But now all money, I mean, U.S. and other countries are working on this. Governments love computer money. They don't have to print it. They don't have to transport it. They don't have to guard it. They don't have to, I mean, it's wonderful. And they know everything you do, Dan. They'll call you up one day and say, you drank too much coffee this month. Slow down. They know everything. So governments like it. I don't like it, but no, money's going to be on the computer eventually. In my view, it's not going to be crypto. I mean, Bitcoin, or call it whatever you want to call them. Once, for instance, U.S. money is on the computer, I don't think the U.S. government's going to say, okay, guys, you can use our money or you can use their money. That's not the way the governments anywhere in history that I know. They don't like to lose their power. They don't like to lose monopolies. So if
we in our family, we prefer money that has an army.
That's the part of the point I'm making, that, they want to control everything and they're going to control money, and it's going to be their money. Yeah, it'll be computer money, but it's going to be their money. Do I like it? No, I don't. I want to repeat it. I don't like it, but I have to face facts.
As an observer, does it appear something like tulips to you, that it's going to disappear? Or the government, I guess you were implying that when you said the governments are going to do something about it.
Well, Dan, if it becomes successful as money, right now they're trading vehicles. A lot of people there's some great traders who are trading and making a lot of money. But if it becomes competitive as money, it has nothing to do with money right now. In my view, governments are going to take action because they don't want to lose their control.
So for people who have gotten a lot of ideas from you over the years, which is a lot of people, it's not about accumulating gold coins right now. What can they get from your view of the world right now? What are you changing about the way you behave?
Well, I'm not shorting bonds, but I'm certainly not buying bonds. Bonds are in a bubble, as I said before. Stock markets, I don't think, some parts, Google and stocks like that are forming bubbles, but I don't see any serious bubbles except in some sectors around the world, which means that there are some stocks that are still cheap. They haven't gone up, and possibly will, because the governments continue to print a lot of money. As I said before, the cheapest asset class I know is commodities. So go buy yourself some cotton, go buy yourself some silver. These things are still very cheap.
So do you buy, would you buy, if you were an American here, would you buy cotton companies that?
Yeah, it depends on what you know. If you know a lot about cotton, the best thing to do is become a cotton farmer. If you really know about it, buy land and plant cotton. But if you don't, you can buy cotton futures, you can buy cotton companies. For most people in index investing, many studies have shown this, that most people should invest in an index, whether it's for bonds or stocks or currencies or commodities or anything else. There is RJA, which is on the New York Stock Exchange, which is an agricultural index, which I came up with. So I am buying RJA as we speak, because it's a broad-based basket of many agricultural commodities, and it's performed better than the other agricultural indexes.
RJH.
RJ agriculture.
Okay.
A as in agriculture.
Cool. Oh yeah, right. Of course. Jim, I'm just about out of time, but I love to do this with you. How's your health? You got a few, I can't remember. You must be a little younger than me, maybe.
Well, it doesn't matter. I go to the gym 2 or 3 hours a day. As far as I know, my health is great. Now, I may drop dead walking out the door after this interview, but no, as far as I know, as I say, I'm in the gym 2 or 3 hours every day and having a lot of fun.
Great. All right, Jim, so thank you so much. I look forward to speaking to you again. Your family is doing well?
We're all very pleased. We're very happy. Life is so far so good. I shouldn't say that because, I might jinx myself, but so far so good.
Great. Jim, thanks so much for doing this. I love to do it with you.
My pleasure, Daniel. Let's do it again sometime. Okay, I've said that before, and as you know, I've meant it. So let's do it again sometime.
I appreciate it so much. Good to see you.
Very good. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
You've been listening to the sound of your money growing. This has been the MoneyMan Report with your host, radio and TV money man, Dan Frischberg. Hear it again every weekday morning here on Bradenton's WWPR, broadcasting worldwide. It's Better Living Radio.